Welcome to Auto Off Topic. Hello, Brad.
Good afternoon, Andrew.
What are you drinking tonight? Anything special or just normal?
Well, what's special?
Well, normal would be like your thing of water,
Uh,
but special, I don't know. What do you get? Soda? You get
I
beer
have a
tonight?
Polar Seltzer Ruby Red Grapefruit.
Hmm. I have from over in Lynn, next town over, Bentwater. They've done seltzer,
Was it any good?
cranberry blood orange. It's okay. The problem with these, sometimes you get a real heavy alcohol taste with these seltzers.
Yep.
We've talked about that in
Yeah,
another
that's
episode.
why I said, and everybody can make fun of me for it. I liked the Bud Light one so much because they taste like a normal seltzer.
I can't find them. I keep looking, even at my local liquor store. They don't seem to have them.
That's weird because they're super like pervasive
Yeah.
here. They're just everywhere.
But the Bentwater one's not bad. Before we were recording, I had the my one of my favorite IPAs this year has been the Neon Sales Mass Landing.
Okay. I'm not familiar with it because I don't live in a place where I can get it anymore.
Yep,
So
but it's a pretty good IPA. So anyway, we asked listeners 4 questions, and we're gonna answer
sweet. Our answer's going to be
them.
correct.
You know what?
That's not
Doesn't
important right
matter.
now. Gotcha.
All right, so I'm gonna start with we'll go to Facebook here. David Pistek. He just asked, was there any opinions on the 22 Civic uh, or there not being a 21 Civic Si? And he was kind of asking what our opinion of, because he bought a 2020 Civic Si.
Okay.
So I had to look into it actually because I wasn't familiar with the
Yeah,
2020 Civic
it's
Si.
not on our radar very much.
I, which after looking at it, I was like, it should be. Um, I know we've got a couple friends that have Type R's, and I'm not a big fan of the way they look. I know they're like super high performance, and that's cool, but I just can't get over the way they look, like little Gundam like vehicles.
Yeah, I do like it in black. Our friend Ron bought a black one, and that looks pretty slick. It hides a
Yeah, it
lot of
disguises
the
a lot of it. Yeah,
yeah.
but our buddy Paul's got a white one.
Hmm.
um, Not that they're bad cars. It's just it's a love it or hate it styling, I guess. Um,
They loved it or hated it or thought it was okay.
yeah, but if you're looking for something more subdued, although less performance, the 2020 Civic Si, I think, is a better looking car because it's just like more conservative.
So a Type R is almost twice the money of a Civic.
Oh, there's that too.
So a Civic
That
Si is somewhere in
yeah,
between. So I think it represents a better um, daily kind of normal car purchase. A Type R is almost too expensive to buy as your daily commuter for most people that are in the market for a Civic. If they're going to spend $40,000 on something, they're probably going to buy an entry level BMW or Audi
yeah.
for a daily commuter. So
So I looked up the specs on the 2020 Si, and Car and Driver article came up, and it's in the class with like a GTI and the WRX and a couple other things, and the Veloster. But it's actually the cheapest of all those.
okay,
And when you look at the specs, turbocharged 4-cylinder, front wheel drive, 205 horsepower, manual transmission. You can get it as a sedan or coupe. Sedan. Yeah, sedan or coupe. And it's got, I guess, a real sporty suspension. Seems like a winning formula. Like,
yeah,
I'd be into it.
yeah. No, it doesn't. It seems like obviously the comparison is there. You had a '99 Civic Si or 2000 Civic Si. And it's kind of it seems like the evolution of that as it should. It's not a super high horsepower, but enough. A manual transmission, everything you want, nothing you don't need. It seems like a good package. I have
Yeah.
to admit, they were 100% off my radar too. I haven't even really thought about them much because I've not been in the market for that kind of a car. But
I would have been
I
looking at
think
a
if I was,
GTI.
I'd be hard pressed to choose between that and a GTI, and that dollar figure might be what pushed me back to the Honda.
Yeah, and in fact, I think we had a friend that was kind of asking us about like, sporty small cars, and I think we told him like GTI, but I would tell him to look at an SI too.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't see why not. Definitely a neat package,
Yeah,
and they don't look half bad either. Although going back to the Type R, and it's kind of over the top. I've heard it called boy racer, obviously, or Gundam styling.
yeah.
They are offering this coming year or this year. There's a more subdued package for the Type R.
Oh, okay.
You lose a lot of the spats and wings. So it kind of reminded me of, remember the premium STIs that came out a few years ago, and they had like a lip spoiler versus the big spoiler, and
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's kind of that same package for the Type R. So
And then I think I maybe have not mentioned it, but in his question, he was asking about them skipping the 2021 year. But I think it's just because they're switching generations. That happens sometimes. They'll skip a year.
like the
You know, like
83
there's
Corvette
no, yeah, or like
or the 82
there
Camaro,
was there was no '07 Evo. It skipped to '08.
right?
So yeah, it's just stuff like that. And then it looks like kind of just some spy shots are going to come out with a hatchback possibly again in 2022. They're rumors.
Yeah, I'm not
That
sure.
would be pretty cool for an SI and have a hatch.
Yep.
So
I take it. I'm into it. I'll take it.
cool car.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if I was in the market, I'd buy it. It's just not in my. It's not on my radar because it's not 25 years old and broken.
Yeah, exactly. But no, it's a cool car. I definitely would be interested in trying one. All right, Andrew McDonough, what are your opinions on North Shore beefs? This is a little bit of an inside thing. So
I'm
we're
gonna leave this one to you.
so where Brad grew up and where I live, there is a specific type of sandwich, which I think in the rest of the country you can really only get at like an Arby's.
And it's not the same.
It's not the same, but like it in every town, there's like 3 or 4 restaurants that have world famous roast beef sandwiches.
Always world famous.
Always world famous.
If it's not world famous, it's not going to be good.
And there is a Facebook group locally for all these people to argue about which restaurant around here has the best roast beef sandwich. And it's a really crazy. It's just
So
this
here's the thing:
crazy
if you
R-rated.
if you go to a roast beef place or a sandwich shop anywhere
Yeah.
between Boston, Massachusetts, and Nashua, New Hampshire, on the coast, not too far inland, you have a roast beef sandwich, which is a very thin sliced hot beef, with a very specific vinegar based barbecue sauce,
James River barbecue sauce.
James River barbecue sauce,
Yep.
cheese and mayonnaise.
Yeah, that's a traditional
That's
sandwich.
the traditional
And then-
way to get it, and it's called a roast beef 3-way
Yeah, and actually,
because it has barbecue sauce,
And if
cheese,
you-
and mayonnaise.
and if you get a super, it comes on an onion roll.
Correct.
So
So
they
if you
do-
walk into any
they do-
restaurant and
they
you
do
ask
it-
for a hot 3-way, nobody looks at you funny, and they just give you that sandwich.
Yeah, so they'll do a junior, a regular, and a super.
Right.
Junior is the small, but you're spreading even a wider net. Like it's not even as far as Nashua, New Hampshire. It's like
There's a
very
few places
specific to
that
North
have
Shore.
skipped up that way. So that's why I gave it all the way to Nashua. But the best
Yeah.
ones are going to be between like Malden and Beverly. That's going to be your
Even according to this group, Peabody is the epicenter of good roast beef. Like the best places are in
That's
Peabody.
why I went through all the way to Beverly, because Beverly's north of Peabody. It's got that. It has one of the best places around is in Beverly. So I gotta get.
There's also the roast beef tax evasion scam, but that's a whole other thing.
Well, that's directly related to this roast beef. You're a roast beef joint. You sell these roast beefs that you get in a 3-way or a sauce and cheese, and you take cash only, because the government does not need to know how many roast beef sandwiches you sold.
Nope.
That's how it works. That's the North Shore dream. You want to be the kingpin of the North Shore? You got to have a cash only roast beef business.
When it's done right, it's a very good sandwich.
Yep.
I will say that. So, and actually, I like to do kind of controversial. We do our other friend turned me onto this. If you ask for it well done, I know roast beef, you're not really supposed to have it well done. That's not the point. But when they do it well done, they take it on the flat top and they chop it up, and then they mix it with the sauce and the cheese and the mayo, and basically it's a cheesesteak on this bun with this barbecue sauce. It's pretty amazing. It's hot. It makes it hot. That's why.
So your mission, should you decide to accept it, now that I'm a complete pansy and can't eat sandwiches anymore, is to find me a good roast beef shop that has a gluten-free bun option.
Yeah, because it'd be weird to just ask for a super no bun.
Right.
Just give me the meat.
Well, I don't think I could even ask for it that way, because
can you do a roast beef keto bowl for me?
I'd be laughed out of the place. So I just order it normal and just take the bun off and throw it away.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, we'll need to find a place that sells it with a gluten-free bun so I can get back there and have my because it used to be the first thing I'd do when I go back to the area was I'd go to a roast beef place. I generally would go to Brothers by your house and get a roast beef with sauce and cheese because I don't like the mayo on mine, and a bowl of clam chowder. That was my welcome back to New England meal. But I can't do that anymore. So
yeah, I live within a mile of like 4 different roast beef places.
That's because you're in the epicenter there, Peabody.
It's true.
That's where it is. I don't know. There's a couple good ones in Salem, a couple good ones in Peabody, a couple good ones in Beverly, a couple good ones in Lynn. I could take you to all the good ones, but there's nothing quite like taking somebody who's not from New England out for their first roast beef sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely
because they think they're gonna get something at Arby's.
Yeah,
it ain't Arby's.
Arby's. No. Actually, that might be a good business model to try starting a roast beef sandwich shop out here.
Maybe if you can get people to understand what it is.
Yeah, well, there's enough, expats that we could get a good business model. There's a place here that it's called Nelson's Meat and Fish that flies in fresh steamers and lobsters and all kinds of good New England seafood daily, and they do a whole lot of business. So
just what I want: seafood in the desert.
When it's flown in fresh every day. Not frozen.
All right.
It costs a little bit more, obviously, because it comes from Maine to here. But at the end of the day, it's fresh seafood from New England here. I'm willing to pay a little extra for that, I think.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
All right. Enough on beef sandwiches. Thoughts on Firestone Winter Force tires?
I mean, have we not preached
we're on board.
Yeah, but they're amazing. Are they still available?
Yeah, they updated the tread pattern. They're like Winter Force 2s.
I haven't run on the new ones, but the old Winter Forces were always our go-to for cheap winter traction. They were great.
Listen, the cheapest winter tires are better
than the most expensive all seasons.
Yeah.
Yep, all day long. And Winter Forces are not the cheapest, but they're fairly affordable, and they were really good. So I highly recommend Winter Force tires. They're also good in the mud.
Mm-hmm.
So we used to use them on the Rallycross car because they were cheap and good on multi surfaces. They're not great on dry pavement, but they're not supposed to be. So you can literally, the tread blocks are so big and so soft that you can literally feel the car move before the tire moves. It's a weird sensation when you're on dry pavement with them, but they 100% make up for it by running them in the snow. I had them on a rear-wheel drive car, and the story I always tell is my neighbor at the time had a RAV4 and was stuck in the driveway, and I got in my Starion, which had 185 cross-section Winter Forces on it, and my rear-wheel drive lightweight, relatively, car, and I drove up the same driveway they were stuck in. And they're like, how did you do that? It's all on the tires. Your no seasons on your RAV4 got nothing on a proper set of snow tires and whatever wheel want to drive the car. So
I know. I was out snow blowing today, and it was snowing pretty bad still. And like SUVs driving by, going slow with their hazards on. It's like, why are you even out? What
Yeah.
like if you're that afraid to be out, or you're that bad at driving, don't come out. Like,
Go
don't
home.
go out in the snow. Like,
Yep.
just stay home.
Just go home.
You're making it worse for everybody else. Just
No,
so
I fully
bizarre.
agree. Yeah, snow tires. I will preach it till I have out of energy to preach it. They're worth their weight in gold. I actually recently had a driving experience in the snow out here on the I-40 in between Texas and New Mexico. And I was not on snow tires because I don't have snow tires in my daily driver because I live in Phoenix. And it was not comfortable. It was definitely a little white knuckle experience. You know, I've done it enough to know how to do it and not get myself in trouble. But it was certainly would have been made a lot better if I had snow tires.
It definitely takes confidence away when you don't have them. Like, it's yeah, it's amazing the difference they make. We've said it before. Like, it 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 takes it from being really hairy to like, okay, this is manageable. If you drive slow and you're careful, it's like nothing. The car will just drive like it's on pavement. And if you want to screw around, you get a little more traction.
It makes for fun driving in the snow, not just confidence
Yeah.
inspiring, but it's also fun. You know, like I said, I've had winter forces on the Mirage. I had them on my Audi 4000. I had them on a Starion. I had them on the Jetta. So I've had at least four different cars, and that's three different types of drive lines: a couple of front wheel drives, an all wheel drive, and a rear wheel drive. And they were almost too good on the all wheel drive because I couldn't even do donuts sometimes.
Hmm.
The car just got traction. Like that's annoying. But yeah, overall, they're. I could go on all day. Just go buy them. Period.
Yeah. And then another big thing, said it before, is it's the compound in the cold weather.
Right,
Like,
because they're super
you can
soft.
definitely, yeah, you definitely feels, even just because it got cold here before it snowed. I've switched all my cars to winter tires. They drive so much different when, like, I drove the Volkswagen for an extra week when it was cold on the all seasons, and then when you switch to the winters, you're like, oh, this is way better because at 30 degrees, all seasons are like rock hard,
Yep.
and at 30 degrees, winter tire is still soft and compliant. Just makes driving much better.
Yeah, much more enjoyable. Yeah. Again,
So,
we could go on all day long. There's no reason not to do it. So
all right, James McIntosh, are you more of a Mercure fan or Sterling fan?
Andrew.
I'd say Mercure.
Yeah.
I like Mercure.
Sterling
Well,
doesn't get
XR4 TIs. I don't know what else they made
They only
in
made the
this country as a
XR4Ti
Mercure.
and the Scorpio. And the Scorpio
Okay.
was kind of a big sedan.
Yeah.
Sterlings are neat. If I'm not mistaken, they're Acura powered.
I don't know. They're British. I don't know much about them. I know they're really weird and like poor quality, right?
They're not so much poor quality as they're poor marketing. And yeah, they weren't terrible cars. They just didn't have a dealer network to service them. I think that they were
So it's like a
Honda
Daewoo
powered.
or a Fiat.
Well, Daewoo's were terrible cars, and Fiat's not great. But I don't think that the Sterling. I think the Sterling was a. I have to look it up because I don't remember, but I'm pretty
Well,
sure that
clearly
they
they
were.
weren't memorable.
Well, we were pretty young when they came out too.
I mean, honestly, I didn't know they existed till I was an adult. So,
Okay, so yeah, they were based on a. They're based on a Rover,
well,
but they
yeah.
came with a Honda V6.
This sounds like a coke fueled nightmare of a car.
Yeah, doesn't seem great.
No.
I mean,
No. It sounds like you would have sold Sterlings in your DeLorean dealership.
Yeah. So the Sterling was at the bottom of the JD Power surveys, while its twin, the Japanese-built Acura Legend, enjoyed top rankings the same year. So it must be the engine was fine, but everything bolted to it was terrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, they don't. I mean, they're neat. I would consider owning one now as a interesting like second or third
Oh,
car.
yeah. Yeah. If you don't have to drive it every day,
Yeah,
if you had bought the thing brand new and you were in the dealership every other week, it'd be pretty terrible.
you know, from the rear 3/4 angle, it kind of looks like a 4-door XR4 Ti. But it's not. Yeah, I'm definitely all on board with the Mercure. I'm definitely not all on board with the Sterling. How's that sound?
Yeah.
I mean, the Mercure is cooler looking. It's so ugly, it's good. It's got an independent rear suspension. It's rear wheel drive, and it's got that 2.3 Pinto with a turbo on it. So it's basically a Ford Mustang SVO turbo, but with an independent rear suspension versus the solid axle in the Mustang.
All right.
So I see no negatives to that car. I like those cars. I mean, yes, there are plenty of negatives, but I don't see them because the car is cool.
Yeah.
So
No.
and a friend of ours just picked one up.
Yeah.
So
there are
We're
no
right.
red flags if the glasses you wear are red.
I think what you're supposed to say is all flags are red when wearing rose-colored glasses.
Oh, that's right. I
Yes.
totally messed it up.
Yeah, no, I'm on board with an XR4 Ti. They've always been on the outlier of my if the right one came around, I'd buy it kind of car. Not you.
Yep.
You don't agree with my opinion? Okay, that's fine.
No, I agree.
All right.
No, they're very cool.
Yeah.
I definitely at some point would like an XR4 Ti.
Yep.
Just
And they seem
haven't
like
gotten
kind of a
around to it.
slept-on car too. We always talk about what's the next car to gain value. You know, I don't know that they're going to be like a bull market kind of car, but they're not going down, and they're not going to get any cheaper than they are right now. You know, the nicest one in the market's like $6,000.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
And when you do the Euro headlight conversion,
yeah,
really cool looking.
yeah. It's not a bad car. I'm into it, and just like anything else, if the car is still running and driving today, how bad could it be?
Exactly. And it still exists.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's lasted this long. How bad can it be?
I've never seen a Sterling in person, so
You just didn't know it because they're very unremarkable.
no, I probably would have noticed it because it's so weird, but
But they didn't look weird.
yeah.
They just looked kind of normal.
All right. So speaking of products, James McIntosh asked another question, which will lead into another question we had. Whose modern products are more disappointing relative to their 80s and 90s products, Nissan or Mitsubishi?
I don't know.
I'm definitely going to go with Mitsubishi.
Yeah, because Nissan still makes a Z car, right?
Yeah.
And they make a Skyline, or sorry, a GTR.
And decent SUVs. And a decent pickup truck.
They don't make a decent SUV anymore. But I'll give you a pickup truck.
Oh, they don't have one. Yeah, they no longer have one with
Yeah,
a body on
the
frame.
Xterra is gone. Yeah.
Okay.
So
all right. Well,
I'll
they
give
still
you
make a
pickup
good
truck. They make a
small
decent
pickup.
pickup truck. Yeah.
Small pickup truck.
Mid-size pickup truck.
Titans are...
But they exist, which is more than you could say for Mitsubishi's pickup truck.
That's true.
In this country, because Mitsubishi makes a great pickup truck elsewhere. They just won't sell
So
them
that brings us to David Pistek. He had asked us if we'd watched the donut video that was about Mitsubishi history.
Full disclosure,
Yeah.
don't watch donut videos.
I don't typically know. For science, though, I watched it.
I also watched this one.
Yeah.
I've heard some rumors and grumblings and things about stuff that Donut Media has done in the past, and I don't agree with it.
It seems like they were just reading the Wikipedia page anyways for this.
On top of that, yeah, but they also have some interesting history with copyright infringement, which doesn't make me a happy consumer of their products. Also, I don't like that guy that does all the videos where he yells incorrect facts about cars at me.
Yeah.
So I don't normally watch them. However, I will say that once I got past the 25-minute ad for Magic the Gathering,
Yeah.
I did watch this video.
I will say I think we've done the whole Mitsubishi history probably better over time.
Probably, but we've never put it in a place where somebody can consume it whenever they want like that.
Mm.
So I was having a thought the other day when I was watching another video that, did we talk about that video? I think we did. The Mitsubishi Starion being worked on by a guy who calls himself the car wizard.
Yes, we did talk about it.
Okay.
It's terrible.
It's terrible. Not only
And
was
then,
the history completely incorrect on the car, and he pointed out the ABS pump as the
electric power steering,
and he couldn't find the power steering, even though the power steering pump is off the accessory drive belt on the front of the engine, where it is on every other car that the car wizard should know. But anyway, after watching that video, I was like, I need to make a Starion video with correct information because none exist. So I think it's the same problem with this. So that video did make a couple of good points that I had forgotten about. I forgot about their miles per gallon scandals.
Yeah.
Both times.
Yeah.
It makes sense that the two brands of cars that I've always owned, Volkswagens and Mitsubishis, would have the same kind of history with emissions cheating. But
yep.
It did bring up the history going back to 1971, which I appreciated.
Yeah.
True fact is 1970 would have been the year that was penned, but that's okay. We'll let that 1 year slide. It did touch on the Lancer rally, the Mitsubishi rally history with some video of the Southern Cross Galant back in like 71 or 72.
Yeah.
So that was kind of neat. A lot of videos don't touch on that. They never really touch too much on the Dodge Colt angle, which is fine. But they said the same thing that I say all the time. We always talk on the show, and you know, if you go back in the archives of me talking about it, my reason for Mitsubishi's up and down success in this country has been the lack of brand identity. They don't have good marketing, period. They don't have brand identity. They've sold all the same cars as too many different brands and too many different models in too many different markets for anybody to sit back and think, hey, that's a Mitsubishi. And that's what it comes down to from beginning to end. And I will say I appreciated that video because the end of it did not have all doom and gloom. They were talking about Mitsubishi sales numbers over the past few years and how they've grown to what the company expected them to.
Well, and they're also right pointing out the numbers, like the Mitsubishi does not, like, they didn't make money on the Evos. That wasn't the bread and butter car. It wasn't The Eclipse wasn't the bread and butter car. It's crossovers. That's what people buy.
Yeah.
And we've said this before. They sell crossovers because people buy crossovers.
Yeah, they sell three.
You want to have a successful company that makes money, you sell the things that people buy. That's just that's just the way it is.
Yeah. I don't go to Walmart looking for parts for my 84 Starion, you know, because they're not going to sell them. They're going to sell things people are going to buy.
Well, these like diehard Mitsubishi fans that are like, you need to build the Evo. They wouldn't buy it brand new anyways, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Unless you can go out and buy the car brand new,
you don't matter to them.
You're not the customer. Doesn't matter.
The big thing that the video kept saying over and over again was Mitsubishi does not care what you think. And I mean, that's the same with every company.
No company cares what you think.
No company cares what you think. They only care what the people that buy the car think. So if Mitsubishi can survive, and they showed that their sales numbers went from like 53,000 to 76,000 over the past year by selling the cars that people are going to buy. People are going to buy the cheapest car in the market because they want the cheapest car in the market. And people are going to buy an SUV with a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty that's cheaper than the equivalent SUV from another manufacturer. And they're making money doing it. And if they can get back up to the kind of sales numbers they did before by doing that, then maybe that's when we see another Evo. Maybe that's when we see another Eclipse. So, yeah, I actually enjoyed the video to a small extent. Not as much as it had been done by somebody else and didn't have a 25-minute Magic the Gathering commercial in the middle of it.
Yeah, no kidding.
But which was just weird in itself because it was like, it wasn't a commercial you could skip through. It was part of the video. And then after it was over, it was like, this portion of the video brought to you by Magic the Gathering. I was like, I sure hope so.
I don't understand why that was.
What it is they're trying to beat the YouTube ad algorithms. by putting the ad into the video and not making it ancillary to the video. So,
Oh,
but
yeah.
it was just long and drawn out and shouldn't have been.
Yeah, that's a whole game. Anyways,
Yeah.
let's go over to Instagram.
Sure. Next questions.
All right, our pal Alex Stadel. Thoughts on fuel injection versus carburetors on our vintage cars. Does it spoil the spirit to update to a modern engine technology?
Yes. Short answer. No. Long answer.
I am a no. Short answer.
The short answer is it does. Part of the charm of an old car is the old car's quirks. So if you change those to modern amenities, you lose some of those quirks. I don't think there's any way to debate that. I'm not saying, however, that it is sacrilegious or wrong to do that. If you want a more trouble-free driving experience, I see no issue with fuel injecting an old car. If I was going to have a daily driver that was an older vehicle that was originally equipped with a carburetor, I would probably switch it to a fuel injection system to daily driving.
You switch your point stuff to electronic ignition.
I think that's different. That's not such a major component of the vehicle. That doesn't change the way anything you do with the car except come tune-up time. That doesn't change anything as far as how the car drives or sounds. I think that changing from a carburetor to fuel injection changes the whole dynamic of the vehicle. Again, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying you lose some of that quirk, some of that stodgy old man, oh, don't take away my fuel injection stuff. You don't lose use of the car. You gain use of the car. You don't lose the personality of the looks of the car. It doesn't affect anything other than exactly what you feel when you put your right foot down, and how the car sounds. Which, when it comes down to it, that raw experience is part of what draws you to some old cars. That being said, again, I'm okay with it. It doesn't bother me that people do it. I get why it's done. Where we've talked short and quick sometimes about this particular 68 Mustang that's in my purview right now, and making it drivable for Naomi and her brother to use with his kids whenever, or with us and our kids and grandkids and whatever. And we've talked about fuel injecting it because it will just make it easier for everybody involved.
Oh yeah, especially because with one of those Holley systems, it's just bolts onto the manifold. It's not a huge modification.
Nope. And like I said, I'm okay with it. I'm 100% okay with it. When it comes to a car like Alex has that RX-4, RX-5, RX-4. I forget which is which. I think it's a 4. There's something about a rotary engine with that side draft carburetor on it, or the down draft carburetor on it, that just sounds amazing. And you lose a lot of that with a fuel injected rotary.
All right, fair enough.
And that's just kind of where I'm at. And I'm having the same internal arguments about my blue 78 Colt. The more I drive the car and the more I make small improvements to it, the more I'm okay with it the way it is. I'd like to have a little more power, but I like its quirks. I like its sounds. That there's something about the sound of a carburetor sucking air in that has not been replicated by fuel injection.
Well,
some of the ITBs sound really good.
Then it gets very expensive, where like a Gen V setup does sound like carbs.
Close to it. Yep. You get a lot of that feeling back, but you lose a little bit of that intake noise. And listen, there's been a few fuel injected cars there that have an amazing intake sound. It's built into the shape and sound of the intake. I always think about your old Civic with that Jay's Racing intake on it that had that shape to it that made it echoed. It sounded cool. You could hear
it. Looks like a 2-stroke muffler.
Yeah, exactly. You could hear it. You could hear it loud and clear. Also, because you had stock exhaust, so you heard the intake more than the exhaust, which I also like. So again, it's not 100% gone. It's just different. And there are some cars that side draft or down draft carb, that sound is just so intoxicating. It might actually be the fuel smell, but it's the sound in my brain that's intoxicating. And you lose a little bit of that putting a fuel injected setup or fuel injected engine in the car. And I don't think there's any way to deny that that's true. Again, that being said, I don't think the car is ruined in any way, shape, or form by making it more reliable. It's just a different kind of experience. So,
All right. So going in the same theme, 8J Vega asks, or he says, I think keeping our cars as analog as much as possible comes with many benefits. However, there are cases for which I think digitizing them is preferred. For instance, replacing a clunky analog glow plug system with a digital solid-state system brings much more better starting for Project Raygun when cold weather comes to town. What do you guys think about this? What areas would you say digitization actually makes the experience with a car more enjoyable, simplistic, or does it not hold a candlestick to analog systems?
well, where he lives, I'm sure a modern glow plug setup is welcome because it gets to like negative 17 there on the regular. So that's certainly welcome.
And that's Celsius. So it's even colder.
Who knows? Yeah. It could be. Is that what they use in Canada? I don't even know.
They do.
That being said, that goes back to the last answer we said. It's acceptable everywhere. Where I prefer it would be, like you said, with the Petronix ignition over a set of points. Because it doesn't change much about the car, but it makes the car that much more reliable. And a car that's that much more reliable is that much more enjoyable to own. If you're going to be using the car a lot, I think updating, like adding something like heated seats to a winter-driven car is probably nice.
Yeah,
I don't have a problem with Bluetooth capability in an older car.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah, I don't want to put a big, stereo system in the car, but if you can put a Bluetooth, what I usually do is like a Bluetooth dongle that plugs into the antenna hole of the back of the car, so it doesn't really interrupt the look of the old radio. And sure, it's not going to win any sound competitions, but it looks like a factory setup, and you put a Bluetooth dongle like in the center console where you can't see it.
Well, there's no more radio stations, so you want to listen to your own music.
Absolutely. So I'm totally down with that. Modern tires are much better than old tires, so I'm okay with modern rubber on old cars.
You could do I don't know if this counts for his question, but like a front disc brake swap if it's got drums.
Sure. I think modernizing was better than digitizing. I think it's more of because it's not much that's digital that goes into an old car. One thing that's nice about using an old car in modern days is you can just hook up your cell phone to hook it on somewhere and have a digital speedometer. So you don't have to worry about the inaccuracy of your, 1960 something speedometer. I mean, that's acceptable to use. There's all kinds of little things like that I think are totally fine. And if it's in the grand scheme of improving the vehicle from how it was without really affecting how the car drives, I'm okay with it. I can't think of anything else you would change that you like digital. Like I probably wouldn't change from crank windows to power windows because it always looks weird.
Yeah, that kind of changes the character of the car. It doesn't bother me that much because this isn't a car you'd typically be driving it that often.
Yeah, and most of them are small enough that you can reach over and crank the window up without much effort. So I don't have a problem with that. Headlight technology. I'm not a fan of the new LED style like replacement bulbs. Like the round
I don't like that.
They look different, but I'm okay with upgrading the factory looking lights to work better.
Yeah, there are more expensive ones though that look like a classic headlight, but they are LED, but they are very expensive right now.
Yeah, they're like $500 a piece.
Yeah, so that does exist, but it's just expensive right now. But then the other alternative would be the less expensive version, and I'm just fine with. I don't need LED headlights. I'm fine with a good halogen.
Yep.
But I like an E-code conversion versus sealed beam. That makes a big difference.
Yeah. We've both done that to a few different cars. I think your Talon still runs those, right?
Yep. Square E-codes. Made a big difference.
Yeah, I'll be putting those in the Starion when I finish it for sure. So
made a big difference, and I realized I don't drive it at night. I can't remember the last time I drove it at night.
It's because we're old. We can't see at night anymore. Just how it works, Andrew.
I think it's just I just don't go out at night with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't drive at night very often either, I've
But
noticed.
both our daily drivers, mine and Stephanie's, have halogens. We don't have xenons, and they modern halogens are so good. Like, you don't need xenons.
Yeah, actually, Naomi's car had LED bulbs in the factory housings, and they weren't good. So we went back to halogen lights, and they're much better. Just
Yeah.
works better. And my daily drivers get halogens, and they're fine. I've owned daily drivers with xenons in the past, and they're nice, but it's not that big of a difference most times. And the majority of the time, when driving at night, you're driving either on the highway where the lights don't mean that much because you can see the reflective lines, or you're driving in the city where there's so many lights. You know, we don't live in an area where we do a lot of back road driving, so it's not really that essential.
All right. Sagra Kid. Sagra_kid. Says squeaky brakes. What works best? My Raiders drive me crazy and has new factory pads.
Like
Well,
Mitsubishi pads and his Raider? Wow.
yeah, I don't know. Well, if you didn't change the rotors or have them cut,
Mm-hmm.
that might be why they were squeaking, because the pads didn't bed properly. That's part of the reason why you cut rotors, or new ones come with hash marks. It's to help bed the pads and to avoid squeaking. So you could take them out and with like 220 grit sandpaper, scuff them up, and then do some like a couple of hard stops, but don't
I do like a
like come to a
35
full,
to 35 to
do
10.
like a 35 to like 5, yeah, or
Yeah.
10. Don't come to, and then do that a couple times to try to like bed them in. That might get rid of the squeaks.
I also
Otherwise
learned
you get what's
that
that?
O'Reilly's cuts rotors for free.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the front of a Montero Raider is kind of a pain because it's got captive rotors. You got to take
That's
that whole
true.
thing apart.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
That's probably why. Like I know I didn't do the front rotors on my Montero, both of them, because I didn't want to take it apart. Which that reminds me I should double check the thickness of the front rotors on my Montero the next time I have it up for service. I think they're fine, but
So May.
yeah, I won't drive it till May, and I'll change the oil and I'll check them. But yeah, that's a good way to do it with the sandpaper. Or you can take them apart and have them cut. Worst case, there's kind of stuff that I guess works. I've never really used it, but you can soak it into the pads.
Yeah, I've never used this stuff either.
Like BG makes it. We used to have to use it occasionally at the dealership because for whatever reason, is even using OEM pads, OEM rotors, like certain people, I don't know, the way they would drive, they would just make their pads squeak. It was just like, I don't know, because like OEM stuff is like really designed to never squeak because people complain about it. And I don't know, it was just like where the person lived, the moisture content, I don't know. It would just, you'd always have like particular customers that would just constantly be back with brake squeaking problems. I don't know why. They just like wanted it to happen, so it like willed into existence. I don't know.
They drive a lot of dirt roads and get a lot of rocks in there.
Yeah, yeah, that's the other thing. You could have
if you get rocks and stuff in there, and they cut the rotors. When the rock
it's like
comes
a record.
out eventually, it becomes a groove becomes like exactly like Andrew said. It's like a record player, so it's gonna make sense. But there are certain ways it happens, and there are very few things you can do to fix it versus replacing parts. So if none of those steps work, then it's time to try a different set of pads.
Yeah. And then I've had like super aggressive track pads that they just squeak until they're warm. But
not in a Raider though.
Nah. All right, Throttle by Cable. You should go follow him. He's had some cool drift shots lately.
I do follow him.
Photos.
Yeah.
Yes, what's the rally spectator schedule for this year? And well, hopefully they have rescheduled Climb the Clouds for
TBD.
Yeah, they've rescheduled Climb to the Clouds for July 2021.
Yep.
Early July. It's either late June, early July. That should be, I think they wanted it to be a week apart from New England Forest Rally, either a week or 2 weeks.
I intend to be there for that whole time to go to both events. So
New England Forest Rally, everything so far is middle of the summer, so we're hopeful.
Yeah,
Things are turning around.
given where we're at right now in the world of medicine, hopefully that will be able to be a thing.
And then I think they have moved STPR, and that is permanently in the fall. So I would like to go to that myself.
That's in
if
Western
available.
Pennsylvania, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I would like to get to, well, of course, the historics. That would be awesome at Lime Rock in August.
It's Labor Day,
I,
usually.
I would like to get to, if they bring, hopefully they will bring IMSA back to Lime Rock again. Hopefully it's not the same weekend as like Climb to the Clouds or New England Forest Rally. That's a good time. And I'd like to finally get to IMSA at Watkins Glen or the NASCAR road race there.
Yeah, that's in August too, isn't it?
I think it's in August. That would be, if it doesn't, yeah, because I think they usually do Watkins Glen in June for IMSA and NASCAR in August. So those would be cool events to do.
And Daytona's too early in the year. That's usually like January, February, right?
That's January, middle of January.
Yeah, that won't happen then.
And then March would be Sebring. So I know there was a bunch of stuff that wasn't rally stuff, but those are the stuff that I usually like to spectate for motorsports.
Because we were talking about going to Sebring last year, and then the world ended. So
yeah. No, we'll see. It's we're gonna play it by ear. So
yeah, if things go according to the way it seems that they're going to go, I plan on being in New England for that 2-week stretch to go to both the New England Forest Rally and the hill climb. I provided my office is still in work from home, which it seems like that might be permanent for us. I'll be able to work from my parents' house in Massachusetts. And,
yeah,
I'll be able to spend a couple weeks there without burning much vacation time, so that'll be good.
Yeah.
So
kind of to dovetail into that, Yeti Overland asked 2 questions. What animal will attack TDI Catnip 454?
I hate you.
Next to the Arizona State?
Hopefully none, because every animal other than a cat is way bigger.
And more deadly, right?
I mean, the large size is enough to... Yes. Yeah, scorpions and snakes are more deadly than cats, usually. Depends on the cat, I guess. But listen to the last episode. There's a follow-up to that story, if you haven't already.
And then he says with the COVID vaccine, look to be coming around early to mid summer. Do you think we see big car events next year? SEMA, for example?
I mean, if things go the way they say they're going to go, I don't see SEMA being a problem.
No, I don't see anything.
I think that by November will be okay. I think that by August will be okay. I think that Monterey Car Week will go off. I think that SEMA will go off. I think that we'll start seeing Radwood events, hopefully. I mean, this is not an official word from anybody, just hopefully sometime by mid to late summer.
I think everything
at least by the normal December California show, I think we'll see Radwood.
I think after July, you'll start to see things open up.
Yeah. So I'm hopeful for it. I'm glad that I'm not glad. Let me rephrase this. It's neat that I've been able to not go all these places this year and save a couple of bucks. So I appreciate that, but I do miss doing things. So, thankfully, knock wood, we haven't been terribly affected personally. But I am thankful that things have gone the way they've gone. But man, am I ready to go do things again.
And I think that enthusiasm is going to just spill out.
The events are going to be ridiculous.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. It's going to be a hell of a time once things go back to the way they used to be, or at least some semblance of it. The first Cars and Coffee last year, when things started, people started understanding a little more that you could kind of go out a little bit and be careful. The first Cars and Coffee I went to was absurd how many cars were there. And it was so many cars that I actually felt uncomfortable and left because of too many people. But it's just it's going to be crazy. And what I say, absence makes the heart grow fonder, right?
Right.
You don't do these things and you miss them tremendously, and something he took for granted in the past is now back, and we're gonna do it. I'm gonna try to hit as much as possible once everything opens back up again. It'll be a little harder to drive all over the country to car events, having a normal 9 to 5, but I'll make it work somehow. I'm into it.
All right, cool. That's all our questions. We thank you for asking them, because it gives us something to talk about.
What are you looking forward to most, Andrew, once things go back to normal as far as cars go?
I'd like to go to some nice Cars and Coffees again.
Something simple as that.
Just be able to. And boy, I'd like to go back to some rallies.
Yeah.
And shoot some rallies. I know they've had some rally sprints, but I just been laying low.
Yep.
Because I got to go to the next state to do them. So the friends I have that like to do them already live in that state, so it's easy for them. But I could if I wanted to, and it's outside and stuff. But it's better. It's better to just not overcrowd these things, right? The people are there. They have their cars. They can do them. If I don't take pictures, not a big deal. I'll get it next time.
Well, I'm just looking forward to all the stuff I wanted to do since I moved out here. I really, the plan was to go hit Monterey the first year I was here. It didn't happen.
Oh, right.
This year it didn't happen. What's that?
I said, all right.
Yeah. And I'm really hopeful that it goes off this year because, being not on the coast, but on the western part of the country,
it's much easier.
It's a 5-hour drive versus a 6-hour flight in a hotel. It's just it's probably not easier. It's probably just the same amount of easy, but just feels easier. Flying in an airplane is probably easier, but still, I want to do it. But I'd like to go out, and I just haven't done it yet. So, a lot of things looking forward to, but that's probably number one.
All right, cool. So, as always, follow us on Facebook, Auto Off Topic Podcast, Auto Off Topic on Instagram, Auto Off Topic on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter, also Race and Anger, or Race and Anger on Instagram. And Brad, where can they find you?
They can find me on Instagram at TSISS350, not TDI Catnip 454.
I do like that, though.
Yeah, I should take
I do like it. All right, so keep cars analog, or don't, up to you, but might ruin the charm. And
keep them mostly analog, but always aim for the roses.
That's right.